Welcome to another top 10 video. This top 10 is top 10 Marvel events nobody talks about at all. Either because Marvel barely promoted these crossovers, or two, just nobody cared because other events were happening the same exact time. Alright, let's start off with an event that happened just last year. Weapons of Mutant Destruction. A very awesome event that was a crossover between Totally Awesome Hulk and the third volume Weapon X. And it's because of this event, Weapon X got a lot better as a series, because when you first read the first 4 issues, you're kind of like, where the heck is this series going? And then all of a sudden, oh, we're leading to this crossover, which is really good. But the only reason why this event didn't get much attention, because Marvel was pumping out Secret Empire. Yep. That's the reason why, because of Secret Empire. That is the reason why this event didn't get much attention. The event is good. Got great writing from Greg Pak, despite the fact, yes, you got Greg Land in the artwork for Weapon X, but thanks to this event, Greg Land got off Weapon X, and of course now he's on Incredible Hulk, which that is something else altogether. But yeah, Weapons of Mutant Destruction, an awesome storyline that did need to happen. Though it does, this particular event led to a storyline that happened in Weapon X that happened right after this one, which is now going to lead into the Weapon H series, which I have no idea if this title's going to come out or not, because it was solicited to come out a while ago, but I don't know if this title's going to come out because of Marvel's fresh start. I hope it does, because it's an interesting concept. You know, a Wolverine Hulk, which was created by the Weapon X program. Yeah, this is interesting. But yeah, because of Marvel fresh start, who knows if this event is going to come out. Alright, next up is Shadowland. Yep. An event that took up a lot of 2010 right after Siege. And I'm thinking, though, okay. Now, this event, from what I can tell from remember reading about, especially advertisement, Marvel did advertise this, but I have never seen reviews of this story at all. I've heard maybe one person talk about this crossover, and that's Deadpoolzilla. Yeah, he's practically the only one who does talk about this one. They only talk about it once. But has anybody else talked about this storyline? No. No, what are you thinking? Now, what is Shadowland? It's basically Daredevil basically being the head of the hand and building a building called Shadowland, which, by the way, existed for 3 years after this thing. And the most memorable thing about this storyline is Daredevil stabbing Bullseye in the chest, practically killing the guy. Though Mark Waid did retcon this 2 years later, as, oh yeah, he survived, and oh yeah, that was the Beast basically doing all the killing. And this event was really interesting, though. Now, it didn't cross over to any. The only ongoing series that are part of this thing, besides a mini-series, was Daredevil, which is obvious, and of course, Thunderbolts. Now, does this kind of sound familiar? You know, a long-time Marvel superhero becoming a villain, killing people, and then later on people trying to forget about it. Kind of sounds like Secret Empire. Though here's the big difference, though. There are several differences. 1, Daredevil was possessed by a demon called the Beast. 2, the main miniseries was 5 issues, not 10. And 3, Marvel didn't milk this thing the whole year. Of course, the book was written by Andy Diggle, a really good writer, and this is the only event he ever did for Marvel. Yeah, that's a big surprise, though. This is the only event he ever did, because if you look at all the other events, basically, that were coming out, it's like, wow, it's like people, after Siege came out, it seemed like nobody cared to talk about any events coming in 2010. Of course, this is one of several things that came out in 2010, but apparently no one talked about this storyline at all. And of course, at the end of it, this did lead into Black Panther becoming the protector of Hell's Kitchen for like a year. Daredevil did come back after this, and he got sort of revitalized by Mark Waid the following year. But yeah, Shadowland, which, by the way, had some mini-series and some one-shots tied into it, which was fine, whatever. It's a small-scale event. But yeah, apparently, Marvel doesn't care about giving a lot of attention to small-scale events. They just prefer to pump out, like, big-scale events. Yeah, that's one of Marvel's biggest problems, though it was a bigger problem when Axel Alonso was in charge. Yeah. Number 8, Vendetta. A crossover between Cable and X-Force, and Uncanny X-Force. I believe both series were done by Sam Humphries. Yeah, the whole crux of this crossover is that Hope Summers, who was part of the Cable X-Force series, found out Bishop was in present day. Yeah, it's explained in the Uncanny X-Force series written by Sam Humphries of how that basically came out. She finds out he's alive, and these two X-Force teams go to war with each other, and of course, Strife is involved. Yeah, freaking Strife. Which, by the way, this was the first time anybody had seen him since another crossover, which, by the way, it's on this list, which came out just a few years prior. Yeah, and that event is number 2 on the list, which I will get to that one soon. Yeah, but after this event over with, of course, he actually escaped. He actually got away, despite the fact he was the main antagonist of the story. He was never killed or arrested. He just got away, and he was never seen again for 3 years. It wasn't until he popped up in pages of Deadpool that he actually did something. Currently, he's a recurring antagonist for Deadpool right now. Yeah. But it's a really good storyline. I just kind of surprised, though, no one wanted to talk about this one. Next up is an event that happened the previous year in 2013. X-Termination. A crossover between... Now, I've done a review of the main trade of this thing. Between Astonishing X-Men, Age of Apocalypse, the ongoing series, and... Extreme X-Men. It's about these creatures known as the X-Terminators, who go about trying to destroy stuff, and it's a really exciting event. And the whole thing is basically set in Age of Apocalypse. Though this event did pretty much kill off half the Extreme X-Men team, and kill off like several people from the Age of Apocalypse universe. Like killed off the AOA version of Sabretooth, killed off half of the X-Terminated, the group of people who were basically that world's version of the mainstream universe version of all the Mar bigots. But after this event was over with, was this event talked about any other? Was this event talked about by Wolverine in your book? No, it never was. As a matter of fact, the promotion for this was bare minimal. I mean, can you think of any book that was promoting this story at all? I mean, this happened like early in 2014, and this was just after Original Sin happened. And this was just before a year before Original Sin. This was after AVX, and was this event talking about any book afterwards? Was there any follow-up? No. And by the way, Dazzler, who was practically the leader of the Extreme X-Men, she disappeared for roughly a year. And then she popped up in Kenny X-Men. Of course, she popped up in A-Force. Hasn't popped up since then. But as for William Stryker, the Age of Apocalypse version, he completely disappeared. No one has seen him since then. Does he know about the fact that his 616 counterpart is a bigot? Who the heck knows? Because apparently no other writer at Marvel bothers to talk about this damn thing. And I haven't heard any promotion about this story. It's a really interesting story. And I gave high praise for it when I reviewed the trade. And yet, nobody cares to talk about this story at all. Yeah. Number 6. The storyline that led into Civil War 1. Yeah, this is one of the few things that led into Civil War 1. But does anybody talk about this story? No. But the story did get some notice in Marvel Ultimate Alliance 2 when the storyline was adapted for the first part of that video game. Yeah, it's simply put, Nick Fury brainwashed a group of superheroes to invade Latveria to take on Bombardus. She was elected Prime Minister of Latveria after Dr. Doom went to hell. Yeah, he went to hell. She took in charge, and she's still kind of around. I think she was recently captured. Of course, after the storyline, she was converted to a cyborg, and she didn't do very much after that. Matter of fact, she very rarely popped up in comic books after that. But of course, it's because of this storyline, Nick Fury disappeared for a few years. Yeah, Nick Fury disappeared for a few years because of this very story. Though he later popped up in Secret Invasion with the Secret Warriors, the original version that by John. Well, the group itself was created by Michael Bendis, but Hickman basically developed these characters really well. Next up is an event that happened in 2009, 2010. These are basically kind of two events that kind of lean to each other. Fall of the Hulks and World War Hulks. A Hulk event that I don't remember anybody talking about this thing. Now, if I remember reading from the comics back then, is that there was some promotion for this thing, but here's kind of the thing. What was Marvel putting out from 2010 to 2000 and 2010? They were pumping out Dark Reign and Siege. Did these two events get any attention at all? Nope. They never did. Yeah, this is simply put what turned Red Hulk into a good guy, as being a villain for 2 years. Also, this event revealed that Red Hulk was General Ross, and Red She-Hulk, who made her debut prior to this thing, as Betty Ross, which I do kind of agree. Her being the Red She-Hulk made no sense at all, because there was no motivation for her to become the Red She-Hulk. At least General Ross makes sense to become the Red Hulk, because he hated the Hulk for years, so this kind of did make sense. In the case of Red She-Hulk, this made no sense. I do agree with the opinion. This made no sense at all. This is something Pac did in the pages of Incredible Hulk during that tie-in, though this event did lead to the death of Doc Samson. Yeah, he died during this story, though he came back in a later story, and somehow recently he was resurrected at the start of Civil War II, and there was no explanation of how the heck this guy came back at all. It was a good event that did lead to repercussions in the pages of the Hulk title by, the one that started Red Hulk. Yep, that lead repercussions in there, where he basically took on the Intelligia, which was just a group of supervillains who are technically considered to be the smartest supervillains in the Marvel Universe. They did recently make an appearance in the pages of Marvel Unleashed, Monsters Unleashed, a very good series. And yeah, this event also did lead to the leader and MODOK being depowered by the Red Hulk. Yeah, he depowered both of these two guys. Though here's something really weird. That 2 years after this event, Sam Stearns came back and he was turned into the Red Leader. And he was like this for a little over 2 years, and then when the book ended, he somehow went back to being green. There was no explanation for that. But yeah. So you gotta thank this event for getting rid of the original MODOK and paving the way for MODOK Superior, the one who's bald and has octopus legs. Yeah. Alright. Number 4. This event, I have never heard anybody speak of this story. Chaos War. Happening in late 2010, wrapping up in 2011. Yeah, this event was by far, kind of in a way, Marvel's like one of like two ideas they can do basically, where they were kind of, Marvel's take on Blackest Night. Simply put, bringing back heroes alive, and this did have some repercussions afterwards, but very minor at best. Yeah, it's simply put the Chaos King, who's an enemy of Hercules. Yeah, an enemy of Hercules started this whole story by killing Hades and Nightmare. Though Nightmare later came back after this, so did Hades for some reason. And a bunch of dead superheroes and supervillains came back to life and causing havoc. Though this storyline led to the return of Alpha Flight. Yeah, and later to the brief ongoing series by Greg Pak, which is an awesome story, by the way. It's just too bad, though, that Alpha Flight is now relegated to be what was relegated the past couple years to being supporting characters in Captain Marvel. Which is weird, though, because they're really good characters. And this also returned people like the original Swordsman, Yellow Jacket, Deathcry later changed to Lifecry, and of course Dr. Druid. A lot of these characters were killed off, and this is actually one of the miniseries Chaos War Dead Avengers, which these characters came back in. Also was one of the many times that Grim Reaper was killed off. Excuse me, yeah. And he also managed to kill Captain Marvel, who came back during this event, caused his second death in the Marvel Universe. The first time was a cancer, second time he stabbed the guy, and the third time he sacrificed himself to, save Carol Danvers, and Carol Danvers becoming Captain Marvel in 2012, thanks to the events of AVX. Though the events of Secret Avengers, that particular three-part story, did lead into Carol Danvers getting ongoing series again. And also, and deal with caused the Grim Reaper's death and Chaos with the Avengers, the Vision blowing himself up. Yeah, Vision was resurrected, though he was rebuilt the following year after Fear itself by Tony Stark, who he was pretty much brought up to date of what had been happening in the Marvel Universe since his death back in 2004. So at least Tony Stark kept them up to date. Apparently he'd been building it for some time now. And I got to admit, bringing him back at that point was a terrific idea, especially since I think a lot of people were missing the Vision. Though we did have another Vision in Pages of Young Avengers that was Second Vision, who was basically the only reason he was around because he was using Iron Lad's armor. Yeah, that's basically what it was. But you gotta say, definitely, that this storyline did lead to stuff down the line. Oh yeah, this also did lead into a brief ongoing series for Hercules, because he brought back prior to this in the Heroic Age Prince of Power miniseries, and he got a brief ongoing series after this one, simply called Herc, written by Greg Pak, which is a great ongoing series. And yeah, it did have a tie in the fair itself, but it was good. Oh, and plus, in the opening 2 issues, he took on the Hobgoblin and won. And also a brief guest star appearance by the Kingpin of Crime. Though the series did end with, well, not long after they had a tie-in to Spider Island, and of course the last issue teamed up with Elektra. Though I'm actually a little surprised, because even though Elektra's Greek and she's smoking hot, like, I was reading the issue about a couple years ago, and though I didn't read it when it came out, I read it later. I'm kind of like, Hercules, you're with a smoking hot woman and you're not hitting on her to sleep with you. Though you did sleep with the waitress basically when you live in that bar in your own ongoing series. Though he did get an ongoing series again in, I think it was 2015. Lasted 6 issues. It was written by Dan Abnett, which in this series was awesome. I highly recommend it. I don't know why the series had to end for. Yeah, but he was briefly the Power, though he got his power back. Also, in his second series, Hercules, he actually switched from his regular traditional Jack Kirby attire and he switched wearing pants. So he had some repercussions down the line for this one, but nobody talks about Chaos War. Next up is the event that came just before Chaos War, Necrosha. Yeah, this was another Marvel take on Blackest Night, where you have a bunch of dead X-Men characters coming back because of a virus, though they weren't bitten and turning people to a virus. Prior to this, the Sebastian Shaw's son, Sibby Shaw, was really killed by Sebastian Shaw. Excuse me, for some reason, it was never explained why. And the reason why these characters came back because Selene got their hands on a virus that brought back William Stryker, Stephen Lang, Bolivar Trask, and and Cameron Hodge. Yeah, these 4 people, somehow she got her hands on this virus, and she used to bring back a bunch of dead X-Men heroes and villains. Heck, she brought back the original Thunderbird. The guy got killed off in his first mission with the X-Men, I think it was 95, way back in the 70s. Though this event was later brought up in Chaos War of him being resurrected. Though after Chaos War, he went back to being dead. But yeah, if you're an X-Men fan, you would love Necrosha. It is an amazing event, bunch of nostalgia, basically seeing a bunch of dead characters, some you haven't seen in years. And it's just an amazing event. Though some of the people it was brought back, and I'm kind of like, why did these characters disappear after like a couple issues? Like, they brought back the Black Rook of the Hellfire Club, the guy who got killed off, and he died by having a heart attack while fighting Nimrod. Yeah, this was basically during a storyline that was drawn by John Romita Jr. And it's one of the most strangest deaths I have ever seen in comic book. I think his name was Harry Leland, I think his name was. Yeah, he was this overweight guy, and he apparently can absorb power, just like, well, Sebastian Shaw can. But this guy can't exactly set it up like Sebastian Shaw can. But it was a great storyline. And the storyline ended with, you're probably thinking, because Wolverine's part of the story, did Wolverine kill Selene? No, she got killed by Thunderbird's younger brother, Warbird. Yeah, John Proudstar's little brother killed her with an adamantium knife. By the way, those knives he has two of those knives. Those knives were given to him by Storm as a gift between friends. Yeah, I'm surprised that, and this event was a cross between X-Force by Chris Yost, New Mutants by Kieran Gillian, and X-Men Legacy by Mike Carey, which this storyline led to the return of the character Destiny, aka Irene Adler, Mystique's longtime girlfriend that she's had since the early 1900s. Yeah, though it was revealed thanks to this event that the character Blindfold... Now, Blindfold thought that Destiny was actually her mother. It turns out she's actually her grandmother. Which I'm like, wow, that's interesting. And I don't think she ever talked to Rogue about this at all. The fact that she's somehow related to Rogue now because, Mystique was, her light partner was Destiny. And I'm surprised she never talked to Rogue about the fact that Rogue's adopted mother's light partner is Blindfold's grandmother. Which is interesting, the fact that this was never talked about at all. And that was one of the high points of her development, though she didn't get much development aside from, dating the son of Charles Xavier. Though she didn't do very much after that. No, Legion's now back for some reason. As for New Mutants, yeah, that loosely tied into what was going on in X-Force, because X-Force was actually the main event of this whole entire storyline. Yeah, because X-Force was leading to this one. Next up is the storyline that came just before this one, Messiah War. Yeah, this is a crossover between, get this, Cable, the series Cable by Dwayne Straczynski, and X-Force by Chris Yost and Craig Kyle. Where in the storyline, Cyclops found out where Hope Summers is, and he sent Wolverine's X-Force team to the future, and they ran into a futurist version of Deadpool, and he fought Apocalypse and Strife. It's a really good story, and I've never heard anybody talk about this one. This is just, even though it's a quick, close story, yeah, it lasted for a good few months, and this was definitely, according to Chris Yost, this was the sequel to Messiah War. It's basically finding out what happened to Hope Summers a year after after she left in 2008. Yeah. Good story, nonetheless. Last up is the Cosmic Events from 2006 to 2010. Which Cosmic Events I'm talking about? Annihilation, Annihilation Conquest, War of Kings, Realm of Kings, and the Thanos Imperative. Yeah, events that were hardly promoted by Marvel, because in the case of Annihilation, which came out in 2006, what was Marvel popping out in 2006? Oh yeah, Civil War 1. So what would have Marvel people? What would people have Marvel have the readers do? Read an event where Richard Rider leads a group of cosmic heroes against Annihilation Thanos, or having Captain America and Iron Man beat the crap out of each other while having a political debate. If I was writing the books back then, I would choose Richard Rider fighting Thanos and Annihilus over what happened in Civil War 1. I would choose that over that. In Annihilation Conquest, which happened in 2007, we had stuff like World War Hulk. Good event. I think that was the only event happening that year. Let me look it up here, because there was a few other events that happened that very year in 2007. You had, you had Messiah Complex, but that was it. But nothing really else, though Civil War was still continuing that very year. That led to 2008, which led into, there was a miniseries that led into War of Kings, Kingbreaker. But that came out, I believe in 2008, yes. But what event was more pushing in 2008? Secret Invasion by Michael Bendis. So this event overshadowed War of Kings, which led into Realm of Kings, which happened in 2009. But this event also didn't get much promotion because the fact was buried by the promotion by Dark Reign. Yep, Dark Reign. Which this event, which is a quick little mini event, which led into Thanos Imperative. Yeah, it deals with the aftermath of it. Basically, it's a series of mini-series, like the stuff in the Imperial Guard. I'm trying to think who else. It was Sakaar, Son of Hulk. It was not Sakaar, it was the Son of Hulk series. Let me look it up here for Realm of Kings. Oh yeah, it happened in 2010, which was basically happening at the same time as I'm trying to think, what was the name of that? Oh yeah, Siege. Yeah, Siege was happening at the same exact time as this. So you had mini-series for Imperial Guard, Inhumans, Guardians of the Galaxy, Nova, and Son of Hulk, and this led into Thanos Imperative. The only reason why this event didn't get much promotion as it did was because of Siege. That's the reason why. Siege and, of course, the Heroic Age. I'm kind of like, Why wouldn't it? It's a really damn good event. They'll later led into the final event of the cosmic stuff, the Thanos Imperative. Yep. But did this get any promotion? Nope. Just prior to this, Marvel had canceled Nova and Guardians of the Galaxy. This, of course, is the Dan Abbott and Lang volume, which is the second volume for the series, not the volume double by Michael Bendis 3 years later. From what I've heard, originally these two series were on hiatus, and then it was later revealed, oh yeah, these two series were canceled because of low sales. Maybe if we had promoted these series, maybe they wouldn't have suffered so badly. Yeah. So, those are all the events that I can think of. These are Marvel events. DC probably has a bunch more events than this one. Though DC was putting on events frequently, like Marvel was, up until 2011. Though they don't put much events out now. The only event they have going right now is Dark Knight's Metal. Yeah, that's the only one I can think of. But, yeah, that's really it for this particular one. Stay tuned for more videos if I get a chance to do any more. But I just wanted to do this one because, well, I was thinking about, say, like there were events by Marvel that Marvel's put out since I was reading comic books, and nobody talks about these events at all because of the larger scale of ones. Yeah. So, let me know your thoughts about these particular events. And like I said, these events are... If I can find them here. I think I closed my mistake. My mistake. Here we go. These events are Weapons of Mutant Destruction, Shadowland, Vendetta, X-Termination, Secret War, Fall of Hulks / War Hulks, Chaos War, Necrosha, Messiah War, and of course Cosmic Events from 2006-2010. Let me know your thoughts about these particular events down below. If there's any other event, if Tivia, if you or Edgar like to do a response video for this one, go right ahead and do events you think of that Marvel has done for the past, let's say since I was reading comics, since from 2004 to now. There's a lot of events that happen, and there's events that people just don't want to talk about, or Marvel just barely promoted them. All right. I like to see your thoughts on these, okay? But I'm sure you guys probably do other videos, but this video might be interesting for Tivia. I'm sure he has plenty of events that he want to talk about that apparently either no one talking about or Marvel just barely promoted these events when they were coming out. Alright, but see you in the next video. Bye.